You're welcome.
Former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort and his former business associate Rick Gates appeared back in court today in Washington, D.C. Both Manafort and Gates were indicted in October as part of a special counsel Robert Mueller's probe into Russia meddling in the 2016 election. The purpose for today's hearing was to set a schedule for motions and a date for the trial. However, no date was set during today's hearing. CBS News Justice reporter Paula Reid has been following this case and is here to break it all down. So why no court date set for the trial?
Well, this is some bad news for the Trump White House because they were expecting that they would get a date around May. Mueller had said, look, I think we can set this around mid-May. The judge had agreed. And so to hear that this is getting pushed back all the way until September, October, right before the midterms, that's really unfortunate news for the Trump White House because it's going to drag all of this out again right before those midterms. But the reason the judge had to push it back is she said, look, this is a very complicated case with hundreds of thousands of documents and other pieces of evidence. And in order to go through the whole process that you have to go through to vet those and share them, she said, I don't think we can get it done before May. So she set out some deadlines, and if they hit those deadlines, the trial will be in the fall, unless, of course, someone pleads, which at this point, sources tell me that's not likely to happen.
You say the timing isn't good for the Trump campaign, but what does this mean for the Russia probe, Paula?
Well, it means that the Russia probe is going to continue to hang over the Trump administration well through the next year. Even if Mueller's investigation wraps up in the next couple months, then you have the next phase, which are these trials, and it dredges everything up again. So again, even if the president or other people want to say, oh, it's wrapping up, well, even if the investigation wraps up, these prosecutions are going to go well into this year, and if they get pushed back, could even go into next year.
We know that Paul Manafort wants to sue, brought up a trial against potentially Mueller and the DOJ. What do we know about that? Was that mentioned at all today?
It was. The judge did make passing reference to the fact that Paul Manafort has filed a lawsuit challenging Mueller's legal authority to investigate and bring charges. Now, most legal experts I talk to say there's no way this is going to win. It's very clear that Mueller's power is derived from federal law. Rod Rosenstein set out the parameters for his investigation, and a lawsuit like this is just indicative of how they're fighting this. They're trying to sort of make these declarations and in the court of public opinion, even if things going on in federal court don't look so good for them.
What do we know about bail for both of these men?
This has been fascinating because usually your bail is set pretty quickly, and you determine bail based on someone's net worth. You have to know that they're posting enough of their assets, that they have enough skin in the game to ensure they're going to show up to court. But what makes it so hard with Rick Gates, and especially with Paul Manafort, is remember the crux of this case is they received tens of millions of dollars from foreign governments that they didn't disclose, and they didn't tell anybody about the foreign bank accounts that they were stashing this money in, allegedly. So it's very hard to determine how much they're worth, and if you don't know how much they're worth, you can't set bail. And what's fascinating is some evidence has been introduced just a few months before he was indicted. Paul Manafort was filing papers that estimated his net worth. Rena, the estimates ranged tens of millions of dollars. This is his own declaration of how much he is worth. Wow. So it really illustrates the complexity of this case and how messy the financial picture is. And that's really what a lot of the trial is going to revolve around. So until they have solved this, these men were confined to their homes, and they also had those GPS monitoring bracelets, which is pretty unusual in a white-collar case, but it speaks to sort of the larger concerns here that these people have a lot of friends abroad and could potentially